Health information exchanges are being built across the country, not just in Tennessee. And for each exchange, there's that first week when it goes live.
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we've been building for the last, actually for the last 3 years, but particularly for the last year, towards having a workable health information exchange here in Northwest Montana.
Here we are at Kalispell Regional Medical Center's emergency room. Hypothetical situation, a patient comes in with chest pain and a fever. This gives us the information that they're not able to give us.
We launched our health information exchange a week ago, and we're just in the process now of rolling it out to the different participating sites and hopefully getting them to use it.
I'm excited about it. It's kind of the next stage in healthcare. The interesting thing is some of my patients are now almost expecting, well, can't you get that on your computer when they come to see me?
There's an excitement building. I mean, I think generally what I'm seeing is providers are pretty jazzed up about what they see. If I hear any reluctance, it's sometimes more from administrative folks who are more worried or concerned about competitive advantage, referral patterns. If someone has access to my information, are they going to be second-guessing something that I'm doing? That's usually the biggest question, is who will have access to the information once it's in this central repository. And once you tell them how you have control over the users, they usually are pretty comfortable.
The administrator's concerns really start with, in my experience, around competition. So we have built healthcare to create silos of competition, if you will, Hospital A against Hospital B. Now I want Hospital A and Hospital B and all their affiliated providers to work together on this common goal. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there's no return on investment formula that they can plug into. So even if they buy into this as the right idea, they absolutely will get questioned all the way down the line. Well, what's the return on investment? So a lot of administrators are going into this on the leap of faith, and the leap of faith is this, is that as a healthcare provider, my mission is to provide the highest quality care to a patient that I can. And who are we to say that we can do that without knowing more information about that patient?
This is why providers across the U.S. are turning to health information exchanges. HIEs, as they're known, provide secure online access and routing to patients' charts among a network of providers. Hospitals, clinics, doctors' offices, and pharmacies join an exchange so they can have timely electronic access to records their patients will allow them to share. For patients, this means having their medical records available no matter where they go. And for providers, it means having instant access to life-saving information when seconds count.
I've practiced medicine in a lot of different settings over the course of my life, and I think it's very hard for a member of the public to understand just how hard the job of a provider is. Let's take, for example, a provider in the emergency department, and you come into my emergency department and you're critically ill. I've got to solve a puzzle, and I've got to solve that puzzle quickly. Now, in the old days, what you had to do was solve that puzzle with paper. You had to hope and pray that the person could tell you enough information about their health, or you would call a relative, or call a practitioner's office, or call a pharmacy and get enough information to solve the problem. And you never really could. You could get enough information to feel very comfortable that you probably weren't going to do much harm, but it sure wasn't efficient. And it sure wasn't in the best interest of the individual being cared for, not having all that information. You know, when you read about errors and the other things that can actually cause harm, it's because providers, well-intentioned as they are, don't have the information they need. So health information exchange has changed this dramatically, because with health information exchange now, When I see you in my emergency department, I can get pretty quick access to all of the medications from your pharmacy. Sometimes I can get access to all of the medications that you take at home, the over-the-counters and the like. I can get access to those allergy lists. I can get access to those notes from your other providers. I can get access to those laboratory reports and see what happened in your other hospitalizations. What is that scar? What did that mean? Oh, it was an appendectomy back in such and such a year. All of that just put together. I just move these pieces here, 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 here. And I put them together and I solve that puzzle very quickly, very efficiently. Now, another way that health information exchange solves a puzzle is if you then go back and see your primary care practitioner. Quite often what takes place in the exciting atmosphere in an emergency department isn't transmitted well to that provider. But with health information exchange, the minute you come out of that emergency department, you come back into my provider office in your outpatient setting, that information is right there like that. And so you take the piece here, take the piece here, take the piece here, take the piece here, boom, you solve the problem again and you go on. That's really important for primary care. As you know, primary care providers are under a lot of pressure these days. They have to see a lot of patients. They would much rather spend their time talking to you about what's important to your health, what's important to your life, than trying to go around and get an information here, get a fax there, fill out a form here, get a request there, and put the puzzle together. They would much rather talk about you and make from that puzzle a greater thing about your better health.
Experts tell us that about $660 billion a year, almost a quarter of what we spend on healthcare, is unnecessary spending, doesn't do anything to improve quality. And a lot of that unnecessary spending is in duplicate testing that people don't need. Some of the most common things we see here in the emergency room are headaches, and the routine when people come to the ER with a headache is to get a CT scan. We've had some patients who've had as many as 20 or 30 head CTs over a 2-year period. That's enough to give you brain cancer, even if you didn't start with it.
In the last 5 years, hospitals using Memphis, Tennessee's Health Information Exchange have saved $10 million from fewer admissions and fewer tests. But the number of lives saved and mistakes avoided is immeasurable.
In emergency medicine, it's just revolutionary, actually, because we've never had patients' old records, or it's been very, very spotty if at best. I would hate to go back to candles instead of light bulbs, but that would be about equivalent to what it would be like.
Administrators, you have to remember, are pretty savvy information system users. And I think most administrators will see the value of these collective efforts pretty quickly, particularly once they see that it's not going to be a threat. I think once we deal with the threat issue, the transparency, et cetera, I think we're probably going to get over that hump. And I think administrators will definitely buy into this big time.
One administrator said to me once, "I get it now, Vicki, I get it. This is like I fought for a radiology system forever, and I couldn't get anybody to do it." And he looked at all his peer administrators at the time, and he said, "Could any of you run your hospitals without that radiology system?" And they all said no. He said, "Now it's the cost of doing business. We're not a high-quality care organization if we don't do that." He said, HIE is going to be like that in 5 years. It is going to be the cost of doing business, and it's what we need to do to survive and thrive. And I think if you can get administrators to pick up on that, they will.